Thank you so much for joining us in our webinar today on enhancing profitability, streamlining cloud costs through FinOps for sustainable success. My name is Soumik Ghosh. I'm Senior Assistant Editor at the Economic Times CIO. Now, more and more businesses are turning to cloud solutions to fuel growth, enhance operational efficiency, and foster innovation. There's no denying the benefits cloud brings to the table. However, cloud costs are continuing to grow up. According to a recent industry report, nearly 4 in 10 who experienced price hikes said that their costs had jumped by more than 25%. And that's why, dear friends, managing cloud environments requires a strategic approach that prioritizes financial accountability, resource optimization, and collaboration across teams. And that is our core of the conversation today, FinOps. Now, to learn more about FinOps and how to get the most bang for your buck when it comes to cloud investments, let me welcome Pushpendra Kumar. He's the Associate Director, Product Management at Tata Communications. Pushpendra, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an absolute pleasure hosting you.
And the participants in the meeting. Today, we would want to discuss the cloud offerings, how we can optimize the prices, how complex these cloud solutions are, when we are looking forward to optimize it, save the cost, and we can probably, invest that amount in, some productive or, or some, strategies for the organization that we are working for. So, with your permission, I would want to share my screen and so that we can start the discussion on that particular topic.
Sure, we'll go ahead with that. And before we just do that, we'll have a quick poll to take a dip check from the audience. So I would request our team to just run the poll for us. We need to, get some of your observations, some of your insights when it comes to cloud operations. All right, so folks, that's the first poll that we have for the day. In your opinion, what key factors makes FinOps essential for your organization? Select the one that applies the most. Okay, we're going to give it another 10 seconds before we close the poll and then move ahead. All right, I think we can close the poll now. I think we're good with that. Over to you, Pushpendra. Tell us more about FinOps and tell us what are your observations, what best practices would you want to share with us? Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Soumik. Let me quickly share my screen and let me know once it is visible to you.
Please.
So in recent past, we worked with a lot of our enterprise customers, some of the PSUs and some, some of, the project management units along with some big four organizations, analysts. And, the observation that we had and the data, analysis that we did, we found that 82% of the CXOs, they say that managing cloud spend in their, it is the top challenge, as on date. Similarly, 71% of heavy cloud users are also looking, to prioritize the optimization, whatever the infra spend is there currently on the platform services or the, putting the workloads on hyperscalers or maybe some on-premises solution. They would want to go ahead and optimize it. That's the another area where people are thinking in. We also found that approximately 30% of the cloud spend is actually the waste, right? Which is a low-hanging fruit when we start the optimization. This is the first thing that we generally work on and will reduce it as a part of the cloud spend optimization or the infra optimization. Cloud spend today is distributed across multiple environments, a lot of different business units, different regions. It is dynamic in nature due to the needs of modern applications, scalable workload, and similarly, it is, across different instances. People are using different instances type, different regions, DC, DR. It is a bit complex these days, if I talk about the cloud infrastructure, which is people are using currently. Apart from this, there are some other key challenges, which people are facing today. Complexity of cloud pricing model. If I talk about the cloud pricing model, just to make it cost effective, there are different models that cloud service providers are offering today. So, for example, on-demand instances, wherein the pay-as-you-go instances, there's a billing model of pay-as-you-go. And again, in pay-as-you-go also, there are different models like pay per hour, pay per day, pay per month. Some development applications offer some development workloads. People use paper hour when they are working, 8 hours a day on the cloud platform. And, after that 8 hours, they switch off the machines, and that's how they save the money. Similarly, paper day and paper month are another options for, pay-as-you-go model. Then there are reserve instances. Again, in reserve instances, RIs for 1 year, RIs for 3 years, and for a longer run, it makes it a bit complex. Apart from it, spot instances which are low in price, and there are other challenges which comes along with spot instances. So all these model makes the pricing model a bit complex. So that's another challenge that people are facing today. Lack of visibility and control. So if I talk about lack of visibility and control, these days, customers are using a different environment. So people are using multi cloud options wherein people are putting the workload on hyperscalers. Under hyperscaler, there are multiple options like AWS, Azure, Google, OCI, and other platforms. And then people like us, the Indian cloud service provider, but at the same time, customers are using on-premises workload. They are co-locating it in some of the data centers. So, huge workloads are there within the organization, different models. And that is how the lack of visibility and control is, which is area of concern today. Apart from that, lack of cloud cost optimization skills. So generally, when we were talking to our enterprise customers and analysts, we found that there are multiple teams within the organization today. There are people who are working on the application layer. There are people who are working on the infrastructure layer. And then there are some resources who actually work on the optimization side of it as well. It not only increase the cost, because we need to hire skilled resources, and up to some extent there's some dependency on such team members or people. And today's world, the attrition rate high, people are joining other organizations, so dependency is there as well. So these are the some of the challenges which are accompanied with the challenges that we discussed in the previous slide. When we were talking to the CXOs, these are the some common questions that they ask to themselves and to their team members. Why is my bill so high? See, when we were working on the architecture, we were working on the BOQ. We budgeted the complete program. Why it is going beyond that? Is it higher than the budget? In most of the cases, the answer is yes. Some of the cases maybe, and some of the cases no. Similarly, there are a lot of cloud hidden factors which actually driving up the cloud bills. Why the cloud spend still increased despite optimization? So if there are people who are working on the optimization, they do it as a one-time activity, and at the same time after some time it again starts shooting up. So that's another area of concern with organizations like you. And the last one is, are the key their key best practices which can control this? Probably we'll discuss it in subsequent slides. And these are some questions that CIOs or CXOs are actually trying and finding out the answers. Some of them have successfully found the answers, have started working on in those areas, and some of the people are actually adopting the cloud at this stage. Then what is FinOps that can actually increase the efficiency? So what is that FinOps does, right? So improving forecasting and budgeting. So for improved forecast and budget, we need a lot of insights, right? A real-time insights, a lot of information which actually can help us making decisions. We can not only forecast the requirement properly, but it has to be precise also at the same time. Enabling faster innovation without without overspending. So a lot of automated policies which are there in today's world, which actually we put those policies on the orchestration. We put it on the we use some tools which actually make sure that our spend is aligned with the business goal. So and at the same time we are innovative enough. A lot of AI tools which are running in today's world, which actually help us to size the infrastructure and the platform. Optimizing multi-cloud environment. As we discussed that people are using multi-cloud, people are using a different kind of solutions today. We need some orchestration or a tool which can not only monitor all the different environments like hyperscalers, along with dedicated hosting, along with co-location, on-premises solution, but also generates reports which actually help us to take decision. This is what our FinOps as a service add as a value for customers like you. Then you will agree that most of the CIOs or CXOs like you, they always keep an eye on the return on investment, right? So whenever we are working on a project, we are investing for the infrastructure for that particular project, we ensure that whatever investment that we are doing, it should we should get the return on investment accordingly. So that is one thing that FinOps as a service can help us with. Now, how our FinOps as a service enhances the cost efficiency? The first point is granular visibility. So the insight that I was talking about, the reports that we should get, that should give us the information or the detailed analysis which help us to reduce the prices. The waste that we were talking about, at least in our first attempt, we should actually get rid of that waste, and we can save up to 20-25% of the cloud spent in one go. And then this tool also should support us, as a recurring, as a recurring activity wherein we can keep on saving the money, so that after one-time activity we reduce the cost, and after some time it gets start increasing. So that is another area that we need to take care of. Effective budget management. So FinOps establishes clear financial ownership by aligning the cloud spend with business unit, teams, different projects, so that we can actually make people accountable, for the return on investment for that particular project or for that particular team. So that is another area which is important. Not only budgeting it properly, the precise budget, but at the same time, the accountability has to be there. And this tool should be, sufficient. This tool can actually provide those reports so that we can define the accountability. Optimization of resources, performance and cost. So we have observed that when we start working on some project and we keep on adding the projects in the same organization, we keep on spinning the resources, VMs, storage, other services, and we observe that some of the resources are 30% utilized, 40% utilized. Some of the resources are 100% utilized. They are running 24/7, 365 days, but running on the pay-as-you-go model, which is higher in the price. So we can easily convert that into the RI, so that we can save up to 15 to 20 or 25%. So that's another analysis that FinOps as a service provides. The real-time cost allocation is very important. Show back, charge back, so that people are well aware that what is that we are spending on what, and are we going to get the return on investment or ROI justified for that project or not. So that help us a lot. Scaling. Scaling, not only the horizontal, but also the vertical scaling I'm talking about here. We need to make sure that, we should, on the basis of the analysis, we should know that, how many VMs do we need to be spinned as a horizontal scaling. And when the workload is, gone, then it should also scale down or scale in. So we need to make sure that, scaling and agility is something which is there. So that is how the FinOps as a service help us reducing the price. Now, one of the questions that CIOs used to discuss with their teams and CXOs used to discuss with their teams, is the best practices. So best practices, when we actually we are in a phase of designing the architecture or working on a BOQ, then we should make sure that the right size instances we are something that we are working on. When we launch it, launch the program, we start consuming the infrastructure. Ideally, it should not happen that the consumption is 30% or consumption is more than 80 or 90%. So we need to make sure that we are designing or we are making the right sizing instances in the first place. Auto scaling, as we discussed in the previous slide, auto scaling is equally important. So I'll take an example here. For example, if we are spinning a VM which can address the queries of say 100 users, and for example, if new 50 users or 100 users are coming on the same instance, we need auto scaling, right? But at the same time, we should know that how many number of users can increase. So for example, if we are running a sales program wherein we don't know how many customers are going to hit the website or the application, then in that case also we should do the analysis and we should know that how many VMs need to be spinned as auto scale. And once the load is gone, it should also scale in. at the same time, just to save the cost. So that's another important component here. Network optimization is really important. So network, there are two different categories I'll talk about. One is hyperscalers, wherein the network service that they provide along with the cloud infrastructure is completely on data transfer model. If I say data transfer model, which means the data in, data out, which is data ingress and data egress. So and they've designed it very smartly. So whenever you are putting any data on the cloud, there are no charges. And whenever you are, taking it out from the infrastructure, there are charges, which is, are really difficult to predict, that charge. How many, GBs are we going to, or TVs are we going to use, as a data transfer model? So that's one thing. Some of the Indian providers like us, we do provide the network services in two models. One is data transfer model, similar to the hyperscaler. And second, we also provide unmetered bandwidth, wherein we'll give you the fixed pipe size. There'll be no limit on the data transfer. There'll be a fixed charges so that you can predict the charges. So network optimization is something which is very important. Actually, it is an important component as far as the price optimization is concerned. Cost saving strategies, we need to understand when we need to use the spot instances, when we need to use the pay-as-you-go instances, when we need to convert it into RI for 1 year, 3 year. So we need to understand all this, which is one of the best practice that we generally suggest or recommend. Monitoring and management, it's another aspect which is important. As we were talking that today customers are using multi-cloud environment. So is there any tool which can give you the complete monitoring report by through a single pane of glass, or do we need to log in into different tools and see the consumption of different environments like AWS or Google, or maybe dedicated hosting, or on-premises solutions? So the orchestration that we provide, it take care of it as well at the same time. So we can monitor and manage different environment through a single pane of glass. Not only monitoring and management, it gives a lot of analysis, a lot of recommendation and suggestions at the same time. Cloud repatriation is a very important topic today, right? So a lot of CXOs or CIOs are working on it, and a lot of workload that they are bringing back to the on-premises or a dedicated kind of hosting solutions today. So we need to ensure that the right set of workload is running on right set of cloud or dedicated hosting infra. So that's where we add value here, and we make sure that the infrastructure or the requirement, the application wherein there is no scaling is required, or a lot of automation is required, probably something that we can put on the dedicated infrastructure, and we can put some of the workloads on public cloud also, which needs scaling, so that we can create a hybrid solution which can not only solve the purpose of optimizing the price, but at the same time we ensure that the performance is also something which is met at the same time. Now, there are some of the potential use cases, that we observed in the industry. So e-commerce platform is one, wherein a lot of automation, a lot of, automation and scaling is something which is required. At the same time, we need to understand, when we need to scale down or scale up, or maybe scale out or scale in. The second is, if I talk about the media industry, right, wherein the storage is a very important component, right? They used to put a lot of content on the storage, when to put it on archival, when we need to pull that data from the archival and put it on the object storage, what kind of file storage that we are using. So that's another use case, wherein we need to go deep and understand how we can optimize such requirements. Supply chain, a lot of manufacturing customers, they would want to understand, or do the analysis in terms of the inventory that they have, cloud-based supply chain systems, right? Logistics, streamlining logistics and all. So that's another area, wherein we have already used our tool, and we get the success at the same time. Connected vehicle device, some of the Tata Group organizations, are using our tools, systems, cloud infrastructure, wherein we are supporting them to increase the, or enhance the experience of the customers as far as the infotainment system, over the air updates and vehicle data analysis we provide, which actually help them to improve the quality of their services and the cars eventually basis this analysis. So these are some of the use cases that we worked on. Now, the important thing is whenever we plan any infrastructure or platform services or the cloud infrastructure, we make sure that it is secure. So day zero, when our teams are working on creating the solution, making architectures, we ensure that it is completely secure, and security is the important component here. At the same time, FinOps should also be equally important. So once the architecture is ready, we should make sure that we do have any such tool which can help us, reducing it, as a recurring activity. So it is, we can say that FinOps is a day 0.5 job. Before implementing the cloud infrastructure or the platform service, we should be ready with such tool which can help us, for the optimization, and also make sure that the performance is something that we are getting. Now I'll talk about the FinOps services or the capability of our FinOps services. So we'll start with the information that it provides. So first of all, it takes the strategy that the organization is making for optimization and the performance and the compliances which are there. It also supports for budgets and forecast. We make sure that if there are different projects, then showback and chargeback is one feature that it has to be there, and then allocate team spend and shared cost. It also provide a lot of regular reports, detailed reports. We'll probably talk about in subsequent slide. And once the information is with CXOs or the right set of people or the stakeholders, then we can start working on the optimization. So cost and usage errors which are there, it reports about it. We find and measure areas of usage optimization. Implementation of cost control, cost saving, and recommendation is something that we work under optimize. And post which we can probably start operating these things. So enable automation, business integration, share real-time cost data with stakeholders, which help us for the improvement, resource optimization, real-time cost reporting, so and so forth. So this is what our FinOps as a service provides. So we do due diligence. We make sure that we provide consultation also. So even before putting this tool, so when customers are choosing us, for our FinOps as a services, we also we have right set of people available within organization, which actually sit with the customer at the time of making architecture and diagram, so that we go first time right. So we provide the consultation also to our customers. Also, the FinOps tool that we are talking about is is flexible. Flexible in the sense I was talking about the reports. So it delivers comprehensive monthly cloud reports alongside detailed action-oriented reports and some of the regular reports. Whenever we will get an opportunity to work closely with you, we would want to demonstrate it. We would want to sit with you and discuss it in detail. What kind of reports do we generate, and what all are the mechanism and methods by which we generally share it with the right stakeholders. It is insight driven, which is equally important. So more information that we have, it will help us not only for the optimization, but at the same time, it will improve a lot of things like budgeting and in other things. It is seamless. It is efficient, seamless. And it enforce cost management policies also under governed, control and govern expenses within the defined parameter and adhere to the policies that we defined, related to the cloud spend. So this is how we provide our FinOps as a service. Now, the next steps are we would want to engage in detail or deep with you. We would want to sit. We need some time slots with you. We want to schedule some workshops. Probably the account management team or the sales team who are working closely with you, or maybe CSM teams. We would request them to reach out to you for a for a time slot so that we can schedule a workshop. We would want to understand your workloads, your architectures, and we would want to add a value, for optimization, performance, and we do have a lot of offerings that we can offer as a part of the cloud journey. Unlike some of the hyperscalers, we do provide public cloud. We are partnered with hyperscalers. We can provide you, the dedicated hosting. We can create hybrid solution for you. We can provide multiple, network options, for the cloud environment. So we would seek some time or support from your side so that we can, work on it. This is from my side. I would want to hand it over to Soumik and team members. And if you have any questions, probably we can discuss those.
Thanks so much for that, Pushpendra. I think that was a great session, and you talked about some very pertinent points, especially points around resources being underutilized. You spoke how companies sometimes overallocate, which is why we are seeing this whole conversation around thin provisioning. So yeah, I think you did touch upon some really relevant points, and in our conversations with CIOs, we've heard many of these points surfacing every now and again when it comes to cloud costs and cost optimization for cloud. Now, audience, I would please urge you to share more questions with us. Make full use of this opportunity. Pushpendra here works hand in hand with a lot of companies, taking them through their cloud journey. So any of these doubts or the questions you had around multi-cloud deployment, cost optimization, etc., this is the right platform to get it addressed. Now, you spoke about the deployment model and how we are seeing the growth of multi-cloud. And you're right, a Nutanix report shows that hybrid multi-cloud remains the dominant deployment method in India. About 44% of the companies are already using it. Off the top of your head, Pushpendra, what would you say are the 4 must-dos when it comes to managing workloads in multi-cloud environments?
Okay, so thanks. It's a great question, Soumik. When we work on the solutions, right, and we work very closely with the application team, right? So infrastructure and application, these two teams, work together to make sure that we are designing a right set of solutions. So when we were having discussion in some of the use cases or the case studies, we observed that forecasting or budgeting is something which is important for and for which we need to ensure that which application do we need to put on dedicated hosting, what workload we need to put on the public cloud or a private cloud kind of an environment. At the same time, a faster innovation is another point which is important here, right? So how soon we can probably work on a solution which we can see as a problem going forward, how we can do the optimization, how we can quickly change RIs to PG where the consumption is pretty less and PG to RI, and we need to understand the application at the same time, as well. Accordingly, we design the architecture, optimization of the multi-cloud, which workload need to put on what is something which is important here. And then the as I mentioned earlier that all the CXOs keep an eye on ROI also. So we need to make sure that whatever projects that teams are working on, the spend that we are giving is giving us the return at the same time, and that is how we are designing and optimizing the cost so that we get the maximum return on investment. So these are the areas probably which are important.
Right, right. Now, Pushpendra, I'm still seeing some people joining in. And for their benefit, would it be okay if you could just display that particular slide with a QR code on it? So people who would want to sign up for a workshop, they can still have the opportunity to do so. We'll just put that up on the screen and then we'll continue with the questions that we have. Coming to the next question, Pushpendra, you did mention about cloud repatriation earlier. And that is something that has been intriguing me. So I think there's the best way to get it addressed. Now, a recent industry report has shown that about 42% of the companies have repatriated workloads back from cloud to on-prem. How do CIOs get cloud adoption right the first time? Let them not be in this experimental mode to put something on the cloud and then see it doesn't work out and then you bring it back on-prem.
Okay, so as we discussed, we need to understand application again here, right? So there are two different kind of applications. We are talking about one application which need a lot of scaling, right? Which is open for all. You cannot define the users like web applications. If I talk about, I'll give you an example of maybe Facebook or Insta or maybe Zomato. These are the applications that you can't define the number of users that are going to hit on it. That's where you need a lot of automation or a lot of scaling which is required, right? At the same time, there are the applications which are which are actually been created for a closed user group. So, for example, CRMs or ERP applications, wherein the number of users are defined, right? So we don't need a lot of automation to do, but we need resources. Now, there are a lot of AI tools, there are a lot of tools which are running on this, a lot of analysis which is going on. Data is very important. So we need to understand, how we can create a multi-cloud or hybrid kind of a solution. What needs more scaling or more automation, more analysis, we can, use the cloud infrastructure or the public cloud infrastructure rather, and some of the workloads which are, which are fixed. Probably for that, we can go ahead and use dedicated hosting, or because of some compliance issue, we would want to go ahead and put a workload on dedicated hosting, which has the cloud features enabled in it. So that's another area wherein we can work on the hybrid kind of a solution.
Now, folks, please share the comments. Please share your questions with us. And while we talk about network optimization, you said that was one of the core tenets also. What strategies would you want to advise to our IT leaders and CIOs who are part of this, part of this webinar right now? What is the best strategy to approach when it comes to optimization? And what are some of the best practices that you've learned over the years with your experience?
Right sizing is something. So okay, when if we'll talk about 8 year, 10 year back, when we used to design the infrastructure, or we used to take the infrastructure for next 5 years. Whenever we were building on-premises kind of a solution, we used to invest a lot in the hardware. We used to buy it for next 3 years or 5 years. A lot of capex investment we used to do. When cloud came in the picture and pay-as-you kind of model, it came, we started paying as per the consumption or as per the usage. So the right sizing was always a problem. So when we work closely with application teams also, they always ask us to buffer these resources. They say, boss, my application needs, for example, 10 VMs of 16 core and 120 GB RAM, but I would request you should go ahead and put 256 GB of RAM. So they try and take some resources as buffer, so that tomorrow if it gets increased the perform or they need performance, probably they should have that. But the cloud platform or cloud services are simply as per us, we should go ahead and start putting the workloads on the instances which are required today. We can always scale it up whenever it is required. So that's one. Right sizing is something which is important. At the same time, auto scaling. Auto scaling, we should understand that how many horizontal VMs do we need to spin. So for example, if you are planning a VM for 100 users and 200, 300 users can come, we should not allow the cloud service provider or the infrastructure that it should spin 100 more VMs, right? We should put a cap on it. So for example, I'm sure that my users are not going to going to be more than 200, 250. We should not spin 10 more VMs or 15 more VMs. We should put a cap on 5. Once that workload is gone, then it should also automatically scale down or maybe scale in, so that it comes to the previous cost that we were spending on that particular VM. So auto scaling is important. Network we discussed. We should always ensure that we should have a network service which has unlimited data transfer, so that you can predict or you can fix your network component on a monthly basis, rather than going on an egress and ingress or data transfer model, wherein whatever data is going out, because you can't predict that, right? So that's important aspect. Again, when to use reserve instances, when to use PG, again in PG, pay per hour, pay per day, pay per month is something that we need to understand. When to use spot instances, which are actually cheaper in price in commercials. Monitoring and management, another thing that we need to make sure that we understand in detail that my consumption is right or is going high, it is going low. And repatriation is something wherein we create a lot of hybrid solutions of dedicated and public cloud. So these are the best practices that we have went through when we were working with Big Fours or some of the customers.
Right. Now, another reason, Pushpendra, why a lot of CIOs, a lot of companies out there are turning to cloud operations is this necessity to innovate and innovate in an agile manner, innovate at scale. What cloud strategies would you say can help CIOs innovate faster while keeping operating costs to a minimum? I think this is going to be a great point of interest for those smaller companies, with not so great IT budgets, the startups, etc.
Correct. So, okay. See, earlier, we used to talk about infra as a service or maybe an intelligent components and infra as a service in the picture of the cloud offering. Today, people are moving, more on the platform as a service, where, some of the software or the application are bundled with infrastructure and people are offering as a, pass to the customers. And going forward, probably, customer will start utilizing SaaS model also, right? Which actually, not only, decreasing the cost of the infrastructure, but at the same time, when you are bundling it with some of the software and the application, it further, gives you the automation, it helps you for innovating also, and it reduces the cost drastically for the infrastructure and application growth.
Right, right. Understood. Now, the other concern, of course, with cloud operations, and one of the things that a lot of CIOs talk about is this concern around security. How do CIOs go about modernizing their cloud infra without amplifying the security risk?
Okay, so as we discussed in one of our slide, security is the major concern today, right?
Right.
Even when we start working on the requirements or the application layer, we ensure that it is secured enough. So we should ensure that we implement the strong IAM, which is identity access management. We should
Mhm.
ensure that the network that we are going to put on cloud is DDoS protected. We should
Right.
ensure that there's a high end firewall is residing over the cloud infrastructure, and the policies are defined in a way that it which makes actually the infrastructure absolutely secure. Encryption is another area, wherein a lot of CXOs, CIOs, they are working on it, and they ensure that the data which is there on the cloud infrastructure and which is idle has to be encrypted, or even not, if it is not idle, then also it has to be encrypted, and the encryption key has to be with the right set of people so that they can use it. So encryption data is another important aspect. And then some regular security audits which are required. There are a lot of providers who provide security audits. Some of the organizations, they do it in-house also.
Mhm.
And vulnerability assessment is something which is important today. Penetration testing is something which is important today. And adopt a zero trust security model, which is equally important as far as the security is concerned. So we always plan it at day zero, security I'm talking about. And that's how we said that along with the security planning, we should also plan for the FinOps or the optimization as well, Sean.
All right, understood. In addition to security, of course, now we are seeing RBI, or you take IRDAI or the SEBI, they're enforcing a lot of tougher regulation mandates, more governance mandates. What do you think CIOs can do to actually make cloud operations not become a burden when it comes to the compliance and the governance standpoint? Also, does Tatacom help make this journey a little easier? And what do you bring to the table?
Very good question, Shamik. So, again, when hyperscalers started offering the cloud services in the industry or in the market, they used to provide, or they were providing the public cloud offerings for the customer, which which were actually bringing a lot of cost-effective solutions and all that. And then after some time, people stop talking about the vanilla public cloud offerings that are there in the market. Rather, they have started talking about the industry specific cloud offerings. So I'll give you some example, as you mentioned, RBI, SEBI, and then, MITI, Ministry of Electronics and IT Communication. They have
Mhm.
started, releasing some guidelines, for the cloud service provider like us, that if you want a BFSI segment workload has to be put on the cloud, then these are the guidelines. Whenever you are, creating any cloud node, you should ensure that your cloud node is completely as per the guidelines from SEBI and RBI. And that's the beauty of Tata Communication. We do have different public cloud offerings or the clusters that we have created, industry specific clusters, I would say. So for BFSI segment, we do have a FinCloud offerings that we are offering to
Mm-hmm.
the customer, which is completely on the basis of the guidelines from SEBI and RBI. We do have GCC, which is Government Community Cloud, and our ISO cloud is also MITI empaneled, and it is created absolutely the way government has defined and or given the recommendations on. And not only we have created it, but it has already been audited and approved by MITI and which is STQC audited. So that's another cluster that we have. Apart from it, we do have a OLVM cluster specifically for the Oracle workload, right? So we have created a separate workload for the Oracle databases, MySQL databases, which is actually as per the absolutely the guidelines from Oracle and as per the workload which we are going to put on it. So that's another vertical cloud that we have, right? We are also working on some of the other vertical clouds, so that it fulfill the industry specific requirements, and that's how we are adding the value here, Sean.
Right, right. Thanks for that. And also, when it comes to the operational complexities, like you mentioned about network optimization, etc., and building that flexibility. When you're working with these companies, what are the most common complexities when it comes to cloud operations do they come up with? And if you could share some of the best practices or some of the easy wins for our audience out here, that'd be great.
The biggest challenge or the point that we generally discuss with the customer, they
Mm-hmm.
want the optimized solution. I'm talking about the price optimized solution. At the same time, there's to be no compromise on the performance of the application as well, right? When we talk about a DC and DR kind of a solution, wherein earlier we used to create a DC location, and similarly we would we used to replicate it on a different site, and just replicate the data from DC to DR, and both the environments were up and running. Today, people are talking about the sleeping DR. People are talking about geo-resilient data backups. Today, people are talking about some global load balancing kind of environment between two different sites. People are talking about a lot of analytics platform. So these are the areas wherein we work with customers and we ensure the performance. If I talk about the storage, earlier there was a SATA drive that we people were offering to the customers, then it got converted into SAS drive. Today it is SSD with one IOPS to 5 IOPS or even more than that. There are different projects when the requirements are absolutely different. So people are looking forward to optimized solution, but at the same time with a better performance and a lot of automation and scaling which are required today. So we address those challenges by share the offerings that we have. So I'll take quick 2 minutes. How do
Please.
we categorize our product and services today? Right. So there are 3 stages that we work in. Right. The first is stage 0. Stage 0 are the product and services which are actually ideas which have been approved by our leaders, our management, and we are working just to convert that idea into a product. So we have started working on the AI platform today. I know we are creating our own AI platform, which we are going to offer pretty soon, which will be infra as a service, which is GPU as a service, and at the same time platform as a service as well. The second category is stage 3 product and services that we offer, wherein we are offering a lot of platform services. So ISO Kubernetes platform is one, which is our own developed platform service that we are offering, similar to the some of the solutions which are available in the market, like OpenShift and Rancher, for that matter. And the third and the second is analytics platform. Just if customer wants to create a data lake, they want to do a lot of analysis on the data that they have, then this platform is the right fit for those requirements, wherein we can provide that solution. We do have the edge compute also. We call it Cloud Light, wherein it is completely use case based solutions that we offer to the customers. For example, if they would want to put a cloud node near to the user, so that they get the data processed pretty fast, and whatever the metadata is something that will go to the data center or the cloud offering, so that it reduces the cost at the same time. So we can create multiple nodes near to the users. So that is what the cloud light offerings that we have currently. So these are some of the stage 3 products. And the third is stage 30 products. Stage 30 products are the product and services which are mature, and we do have good number of customers, and we are getting a very good revenue out of these products. And again, there are three categories under the stage 30 products. The first is ISO cloud offerings, that we talked about. So we do have ISO cloud, which is a public cloud offering that we offer to our customers. On this platform, we have created different grids like GCC. I talk about the Fin Cloud. I talk about OLVM cluster. We do have SAP HANA Grid also at the same time, which is created for the SAP or SAP HANA workloads, which has already been audited and approved by SAP. Today, we are working on creating some other, clusters also. So that's one category. Second category is our dedicated hosting. So we do have multiple solutions for the customers today. The first solution is managed co-location. So for example, if customers are running the workload on premises and they would want to shift it from on premises to our data centers, because they have invested in the hardware, or the software recently, and they don't want to, invest it further on cloud as of now. So we lift and shift that, hardware and the infrastructure from customer premises to us, and we provide the managed services on top of it. If customer wants, because of any reason, the compliance reasons, or maybe they would want to create their own dedicated infrastructure or their dedicated cloud offerings, then we procure the hardware and software on behalf of customer, put it in our data center, put our managed services on top of it, amortize it over the period of contract term. So we convert capex to opex, and we put our managed services on top of it, and we offer it to the customers as a dedicated hosting service. Apart from it, we the third category is managed public cloud. So under managed public cloud, we are partnered with some of the hyperscalers like AWS, Azure, Google, and OCI. Looking at the requirement, we offer public cloud offerings also to our customers, along with our managed services and professional services, which includes this Fin Cloud as a service. FinOps as a service, to the customers, bundle along with our managed services. We do provide professional services also, like migration from on-prem to cloud, be it a greenfield project. We can create the instances for that, brownfield project. So we provide professional and managed services at the same time. So these are the stage 30 offerings that we are into, and we always try and work as a consultant for the customers, and we always try and position the right set of services which are required actually, as per the requirement or as per the application or the workload that customer is running. So these are the bouquet of services that we are currently offering to our customers.
Understood. Thanks for that, Pushpendra. Now, I couldn't help but pick out that one particular thing where you mentioned about you're leveraging AI. Tell us a little bit about in this entire scheme of things, the way you are helping your customers leverage the cloud better, optimize cloud operations. What role does AI play in it, and how is Tatacom tapping into AI?
See, AI is, people are talking about it these days. It is future, right? So not only the GPU as a service or infra as a service that customers are talking about today, even a lot of people are using AI tools within the organization at the same time.
Right.
So we have started using it, for some of our, operations that we do generally. The service assurance team, who manages the infrastructure, they are using some of the AI tools. So we experienced it before, we wanted to go ahead and propose, some similar AI solutions to the customer. So, it is actually helping us not only for the optimization, it is helping at every stage today, right? So it is. I'll give you an example. It's like an university, a student which is going to the university, right? He goes or she goes with a lot of questions in his mind. And then there are professors, there are books, there are libraries, there are classes, and over the period of 4 years, this student, which, when they're in that university or the college, he gets answer of all the questions that he has. Similarly, the platform that we are creating or the services that we are creating, we want to ensure that whatever the requirements are today of the customer at the application layer, or maybe analysis, a lot of predictions, questions, queries, whatever it is, it has to be answers then and there, through the services that we are offering. So it eventually helps, at every stage, or at, every and any stage, I must say.
All right. All right. Thanks for that, Pushpendra. Well, that pretty much touches upon all the points that I wanted to discuss today in today's webinar. Now, folks, the people who are still with us, we still have a couple of polls for you. So team, could I ask you to please run the second poll that we have? Can we have it launched now, please? So what metrics do you believe are most important for measuring the success of FinOps initiatives? Please choose the answers that are most applicable to you. And we'll give this about 15 seconds or so. Pushpendra, in the meantime, can you share some of your best practices? What would you recommend when it comes to the effectiveness of FinOps? Should the performance or should the scale be judged in a different manner, or does it require a different kind of approach from the ones that you already have?
See, Shamik, success criteria is something that is really important, right? And we, whenever we start any discussion with the customers, or start working on deployment of the infrastructure, we always ensure that there has to be a success criteria which should be defined properly. So not only cost saving is one point. At the same time, we should ensure that the performance is also something which is met, right? And we save money, give good performance. So the options which were which were reflecting on the poll, the poll 2, we generally discuss all these points with the customer before creating the architecture or creating the solution and proposing to the customer.
All right, team, we have the last poll question for you. Can we please have that also displayed on our screens now? Okay, so what role do you see cloud service providers playing in the evolution of FinOps? And while the audience is answering that, Pushpendra, tell me your 2 cents. How do you see FinOps playing up in the next 2 years? What are going to be the core areas of focus?
We used to do this exercise, which this tool is doing today, manually earlier, right? We used to study the environments, last 3 months invoices we used to take from the customers. We used to discuss a lot of things with the customer, and and then we optimize it, ensuring the performance at the same time. And we propose generally used to propose it as a one-time activity to the customers, and used to charge it for some amount, some percentage of whatever we were optimizing or reducing for the customer. But this tool, has solved a lot of problems. We don't need manual dependencies. We don't need to discuss a lot of things with the customers on these, front. We just need to run this tool on the infrastructure layer, and we get a lot of recommendations, suggestions, which eventually help us reducing the cost, and increasing the performance at the same time. So it is quite helpful, and it has a great future. And most of the cloud service providers are offering such solutions, and some of the providers are even talking to us for taking this tool for them to bundle with their solution and provide it to the end customers.
Understood. Understood. All right, folks. Well, that brings us to the end of the conversation. That's all we had for you in this webinar today. Pushpendra, do you have any parting words for our attendees here?
So I would request if we can get some time slot from customers. We would want to demonstrate whatever we discussed today. We would want to go deep. We would want to understand the requirements, and we would want to add value in terms of optimization, or maybe proposing futuristic solutions or new solutions that we can help with our customers. So that's what the request is from us.
All right, Pushpendra, thank you again for joining us today in our webinar. You shared some great practices from your experience and observations, and of course told us what Tatacom brings to the table. And thank you, audience, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the session, and seeing you all for now, and you guys have a great